What's up, YouTube? It's DV, and we're back in Roblox BedWars for another video. This time we're going to be talking about doubles win strategies and how I typically win in doubles. So rushing is not for everyone, right? And it certainly isn't the end-all solution to winning every single game. Often you're going to see a team completely failing their rush and then losing their bed out of a lack of strategy. What this means is they just focus on getting the enemy bed at any cost. They don't think about the game. They don't think about what they're doing. They don't think about what anyone else is doing. All they care about is getting that enemy bed. And brute force just doesn't always work. They also don't understand that timing is incredibly important to the round, and if your strategy was just a rush, you really only have a handful of attacks before the rush is really just over and it's failed. That means you got to stop. You already lost that rush. You need to do something else. You need to change your plans. So if you keep rushing a team, unless they're getting double teamed by someone else and you, they're going to begin to outgear you soon because they've been sitting on iron for each time you attack. And on top of that, you're giving them iron if they kill you, right? So you're giving them resources that they wouldn't have otherwise if you just stopped your attack. On top of this, your bed is at high risk from another player who sees you constantly leaving your base, right? So if they see you leaving your base, hey, easy pickings, your bed is there. So that's typically what happens when you fail a rush. If you're constantly rushing, chances are someone's gonna, dive right in and take your bed while you're on the enemy team's bed. Before I jump into the rest of this video, if you could do me a solid and hit that like button and smash the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I do lots and lots of BedWars videos, and turn on notifications so you get notified anytime I release a new video. So while it'd be easy for me to say, well, don't worry about your bed, you can still wreck them with your skills. Let's just face it, not everyone is a master at the game, and even the best player can get knocked by a lucky arrow while bridging to, say, resources or another team generator. So learning to understand when the rush has failed is incredibly important so you can start gearing up and get ready for the next phase of the game. So I personally like to break up different phases of the match, okay? So whenever I play a game, pretty much there's multiple stages here. First stage is early rush. Everyone's going for rushes. Everyone's trying to take out someone else right away. And so, some cases you just need to read the match a little bit. You need to see if people are bridging fast, if they're just kind of hanging out, if they're just really, really defending a lot. If they're trying not to leave their base, then you know what kind of players you have, right? You can kind of get a read on behavior, or at least what to expect from players. If they're falling a lot, if they're moving slow, you can kind of get a read of the skill sets, or at least the skill level of anyone that's in the match. If someone's really aggressive and attacking you or coming up right away, or they go up to the diamonds, they bridge right away to diamond and they stop and look at your base like a scouting. If you're getting scouting, they're planning on rushing you eventually, whether they do it right away or later. So you really need to keep an eye on just movement and player behavior. That's important. And that's the early phase, right? You got the rush phase, which everyone's on edge, everyone's trying to build up, everyone's trying to get resources. And then there's a second phase of gearing up. Gearing up phase basically means people are going to start farming diamonds. They're going to start farming emeralds. Those are incredibly important. If you don't get emeralds, if you're not getting diamonds, you're pretty much done. You're going to be antiquated pretty soon. You're going to still have that leather armor and maybe regular bows. You're never going to get your crossbow. You're never going to get, iron armor, maybe iron armor eventually, but you'll never get your diamond stuff, right? You're not going to get a diamond sword. You're not going to get pearls. You're not going to get any of that stuff, even zip lines, nothing, unless you have those emeralds. So this is kind of the phase 2 of the game where everyone's just kind of, trying to compete for those resources. And then, there's going to be a few attacks here, maybe a bed going there and here and there, when people have opportunity. And then there's a third phase, which is really what I consider the turtle phase. This is when things get really, really hard. Everyone's like getting stronger, right? Everyone, people are starting to get diamond gear. They're getting high-end crossbows. And this is where things can either slow down or pick up speed really fast. It really depends. If it slows down, it means they're really good at defending, but they do not know how to attack, and they are not attacking you. They're turtling. So they know how to defend their turtle. So, they're pro turtlers, but they don't know how to take you and they're not attacking you. That means you got to do everything you can to get into their base. And then there's a fourth phase, which is really when the bed break. This is when things get really cutthroat to the point where it's one life. Everyone's got one life. It's pretty much do or die. So you got to go either really, really defend yourself and hope that they're going to, rush you, or vice versa. So whoever makes a mistake first is really when this happens. Now, if you're an aggressive player and you're strategic and you know how to divide and conquer, this is how you're going to win. But again, there's 4 phases in my opinion. Again, to summarize, you've got your rush phase, you got your resource gathering or gearing up phase, you've got your turtling phase or, geared up phase where you're pretty much maxed out on stuff or trying to go for that emerald. And then there's the fourth phase, which is when, everyone's bed breaks and it's pretty much do or die. Last man standing pretty much. So given your understanding of these phases, you'll know when the rush phase is over. The rush phase is over when people are gearing up in the middle. Okay. If people are upgrading their tiers, they're getting emeralds, the rush phase is over and you need to stop with the rushes. Now you can continue that, but chances are your bed's going to get taken out. So when should you rush? And my answer would be, it really depends. Personally, I rarely rush unless it's in doubles. In doubles, you really don't have much of a choice but to take out the opposite team. Anyone that's closest to you, you kind of need to get rid of them as soon as possible. Otherwise, your bed is going to get taken fast either by them or the team on the opposite side of the diamonds from you. So there's really no choice to let the closest team stay alive, and rushing them is always the first choice. If I do rush, I always make sure we alternate turns with my partner. So if my teammate is rushing right now, I'm pretty much staying back. And as soon as they die, if they die, then I'm going to run it. And then that way they're spawned. By the time I reach the other team, they're spawned and back at my bed, right? So we always have someone back near the bed. And that way we don't have a situation where both of us fall. If both of us get knocked off a bridge, our bed is gone. It's gone early. So it's a really safe approach to making sure you don't get taken out. Now, I'm not talking about like this is the best approach, taking the, if you don't care about your bed, honestly, then you don't have to follow the strategy. But if you're really looking for the safe plays, you always need to alternate with your teammate. That way you don't get overrun. Now, the scenario could happen where you do get overrun by two players. Maybe they kill your teammate and they're charging you. Then you kind of need to rely on your bow skills. So you're going to need to make sure you have a bow. If you're constantly dying, that's when you need to switch things to defending. So once the opposite team is taken out, you can either continue to the next threat closest to you across the diamond island, or you can start gearing up. So typically speaking, what we do is we don't worry about the person behind us across from diamonds, even though you should. It really depends on if they're, kind of coming towards you. If that team actually did bridge to diamond and all they need is a short bridge to your base, you need to take them out. Like ASAP, you need to take them out. But if they haven't, it's best to just continue on after the opposite team and take out the other person behind them. And it's just easier that way. You can continue the push. It's very quick. You can pretty much take two teams out in one run, using the iron from the team you just took out and then continuing on. So I generally take the gearing up approach while my teammate pushes other teams. So instead of actually continuing on with my teammate, I will generally, boogie back to our generator, not only just to make sure everything's good there, but also start gearing up. Generally speaking, like I said, I like to gear up while my teammate is pushing. So by having a teammate push other teams, it keeps them busy and they don't really have a chance to farm. So they're not going to really be going after, emeralds or diamonds that much while they're getting pushed. But if you're gathering emeralds in mid, you definitely need to watch for other team movement. So if they're starting to move around, maybe they're heading towards your base, maybe they're in the middle, if they're leaving their base or there are players near your base, you kind of need to retreat or be able to bow them off at least. If you have really good aim, you can bow them off, no problem. Keep farming mid. But if they're on their way to your bed, you definitely need to reset or let your teammate know. So communication is super important for your teammates to make sure they're watching the base and you're watching the base at all times. So at least you can get an idea when people are actually approaching you. And it's not so much about just sitting there watching your base. So, if your teammate's actually trying to take out a bed, obviously they can't have eyes behind their back. Before I travel too far from my bed, I like to just kind of survey everything, see if anyone's in mid. Is there any chance someone can actually beat me back to my bed beforehand before I start continuing to get emeralds and stuff? So ultimately, both you and your teammate need to be keeping an eye out for anyone bridging to you or moving towards your base. If someone is coming a little close, just reset. That's the best way to go. Don't try to beat them back to your base. Chances are you're not going to beat them back and it'll just be too late. You're just going to have a chance to watch them take your bed. So just reset. You got a 2-second respawn. No big deal. Fight them off as soon as they approach. But typically speaking, I like to just reset. You may have a chance now. If you have emeralds or diamonds on you, just drop them first. Drop them wherever they were, and then you can go collect them afterwards. So don't reset with your items. Put them somewhere maybe the enemy's not going to see, and then you can go pick them back up after you defend your bed. So assuming you've actually reached, you started gearing up and such. Next, I actually like to scout. So I like to go out and scout for materials, and generally speaking, I'll do this right away as soon as I start gathering any kind of materials in mid. I like to keep an eye on things. Are they building wood? Are they building stone? Because if you keep an eye on these things and then they cover it with wool or something else, you'll at least know what's really covering the bed, and that way you have an idea of what kind of tools you're going to need or what kind of strategies you're going to need to be able to break their beds. If someone is attacking or fighting a lot as well, I like to third party them. So third party basically means when you're attacking someone else that's already being attacked. So this is when chaos is really occurs. This is a great opportunity to dive in, take out someone's bed while they're fighting someone else, and then dive back out, right? So many confuse this as teaming, by the way. So teaming is not third party. Those are totally different things. A lot of people misuse the term teaming. And what teaming really means is when someone agrees to not attack someone with someone else. They've made a formal or informal alliance with another team to focus on another team, right? So if red said, hey, yellow, do you want to, team up? They might be saying, look, let's not attack each other at this point, and let's go and focus focus green, and they're going to take out all the other teams until they're the only teams left, and then they're going to attack each other. And that's a really bogus way to play. That is not third party. Third party basically means, like I said, if two teams are attacking each other, you could attack either of them. That'd be considered third party. It doesn't matter who you pick. You're actually picking one of them, and maybe one that's most vulnerable. You're going to dive in, take your chance. You're going to take out their bed. Of course, that's completely fair. However, if everyone is turtling, then this is not going to work for you. So another method I like to use is a little bit of psychological thing, which kind of works almost every single time that I've used it. So often I'll over control mid, right? So I'll aggressively control mid and prevent teams from getting their diamonds or emeralds to a point of making them super desperate, right? They're willing to do anything at some point. And after a moment, I'll actually head back to my base intentionally. I'll go and upgrade my tools, and then I'll grab a pearl. Then I wait for them to cautiously come out to mid for emeralds or to go after diamonds again. As soon as they do, as soon as a player leaves their base, it's just me versus the remaining player, right? So now it goes from 2 players defending their bed to 1 player defending their bed. So I can pearl in, kill them if they're even paying attention, and then I'm going to finish the returning player after I take out the bed. So this works almost every game. But how do you win if every team is turtling and just lobbing arrows at you? It really depends. So, you can pearl into their base, sneak attack their bed using upgraded tools, and maybe one tap their bed with an iron axe, or you could build over their bed, TNT them until you see their bed, then drop straight down with an iron axe. So, and of course with the iron axe, you can one tap their bed, or if you go in with your teammate, then you can spawn kill them and attack them while your teammate is getting their bed. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. Like I said, it really depends. It really depends on what's going on. I personally like the psychological method because it's hilarious just to see them kind of, leave their base, and then we go in and get it, and pearls in, takes their bed, right? So there's lots and lots of strategies you can use for beating an enemy that is turtling. But finally, here's a scenario that everyone dreads. Your bed is gone and you're left alone to fend off multiple teams. How on earth are you going to survive? So I've had this happen often, and I'm sure you have too. So first, survival is everything. So the first thing you need to do, survive. You're outnumbered, obviously, and most likely out-resourced. You only have 1 life, and then others can take reckless actions on you without fear of permadeath or, consequences. So how I handle this is really part skill and mostly avoidance, to be honest. Like anyone could do this. It doesn't just require skill. You could just avoid them. So if you're going to bridge, you need to do so only after knowing no one is going to bow you off. A lot of people cross bridges. It's hilarious. A lot of players will just bridge. Even though I'm standing there with my bow lobbing arrows at them, they'll still bridge. Really dumb. You don't want to do that, okay? You really don't want to do that. So if you're by yourself and you have no bed, you do not need to be bridging anywhere until people go away, until they stop looking at you. Now, if they're constantly looking at you, what you can do is a couple things. One is you can triple bridge, meaning it's a triple wide, right? 3 blocks across and then cross in the middle. You can also put boundaries on your bridges or kind of borders to your bridges just in case. So if you get knocked, I've seen people do these really great diamond bridges. I'm gonna have to show you a video of this one day, but it actually really works. I think it's genius. I've tried to knock people so many times and failed. So it's a really great design. I'm gonna show that in a video sometime soon. Additionally, I try my best to carry pearls on me just in case. So if I'm at my base and people are bridging towards me and I have no way to take both of them, I just pearl out. Then I escape to another base. If I have a couple pearls, then I can pearl back to my base afterwards if I want. So, after I pick up a couple more, emeralds or something. So it's really easy to kind of avoid them. Just, it's basically like chess, right? They're chasing around the chessboard. But during this time, I continue to gear up and leave others alone until their beds break, right? So going in for someone's bed is very much a last resort for me. The best thing to do if you're just trying to take them out is just TNT them from above, or just wait for them to make mistakes. Sometimes waiting it out is okay. Like there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you've been aggressive the entire time and they're turtling now. You shouldn't have to go in for them. They should be coming out to you. TNT does work almost every time, but you got to be careful. If they have a tier 3 generator, they can just pearl up to you. So if you're above them, be careful of that pearl. They might actually pearl up to you and take you out, especially if they're getting emeralds and stuff. And, maybe they gear up to emerald gear. You're really gonna have to rely on bow skills at that point. So, again, just hope that they're gonna make mistakes. That's the best way to win. So again, doubles are super fun, but as you can see, there are many different strategies you can use to get those dubs that you've been looking for. Too many players, have it in their mind that rushing is the only way to get wins. Many will find themselves in the spectator box without a bed after they failed their rushes. So again, you got to understand different ways of playing the game. Don't just play the game to rush all the time. If all you know is how to rush, then you don't really know how to play the game. But learning how to rush is very important as a good step. You do get a lot of practice doing that. You learn offense skills, you learn defense skills. But at this point, you need to have a lot more tools in your toolbox for, getting wins. So practice other types of ways to win, practice other ways to attack. Practice is the way to win, right? So having lots of practice is going to get you those dubs. So thanks so much for watching. I hope this video does help you get even more wins. If you could remember to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button if you haven't, and maybe watch a few more BedWars videos that I've listed here, that'd be much appreciated. Thanks again, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.